All right, so Sunday afternoon, I was kind of bored at the house, so I'm like, let's go find a property. I need a couple more flips. So I'm gonna show you like when I wanna go find like a property, I need one right now. I'm gonna show you how I do it. Normally we have direct mail going out, we have cold calling going out, we do text messaging, and I have a sales guy. But every now and then I wanna go find some sniper properties. And this is perfect for anybody that they just wanna buy 1 or 2 rentals a year. And they're like, how do I start? I don't have a ton of money. Well, you just need to go find people. So I'm gonna show you the process of how I do that. So go pick a neighborhood. I usually pick a neighborhood on Google Maps, then I'll print out the Google Maps and I'll just follow along with where I'm driving so that I know which areas I've driven before. But I'm just looking at houses. So like you can see that house right there. You know, the yard hasn't been taken care of. Plants are kind of overgrown, things like that. The roof looks like it's in good shape. Windows are old. So like that would be a good driver for dollars lead. That's not what I'm looking for today. Today I'm looking for like a vacant house. So we're gonna drive through the neighborhoods and we're gonna see if we can find like a really shitty house. You also could download the Driving for Dollars app and you could write down houses with that app and just check those ones. And those would be great like mailer leads. So like if you wanna send some direct mail out, you can also still call those as well. But I wanna be very efficient with my time and what I'm doing. So this is a really good Driving for Dollars lead right here. They got a ton of cars in the front. They got shit all over the porch. Everything's caving in. Funny enough, we actually just bought this house last week. If you watched the video about the guy just pulling up in my office and walking in randomly, that's the house we bought. So in the same neighborhood, I'm like, hey, let's go to that neighborhood again and see if we can find another one. Then I can have some efficiency. So a couple of things that I like to have when I'm here is I like to have a notebook so I can write stuff down, or my phone, or I have a tablet. And then when I have my phone too, I always want to have Zillow out. And Zillow is just the easiest thing. So like maybe I can't find an address or something, but what I can do is I can pull up Zillow, hit the location button, and then when you hit the location button, it just pulls up right where you are, and then you can find the house that you're looking at. And that'll give you an address at the time. I mean, this neighborhood is really kind of maybe like a C minus neighborhood, but it's coming up. Like there's good value in flips here because it's entry level. And so that's why we like them. And these houses are really easy to flip generally. They're built in the 1950s, the 1960s, maybe some 70s houses, but there's not a ton of stuff. And we know like how much money we're gonna put in these houses at the time. Here's a house that's definitely vacant. So it says smile, you're on camera. Highly doubt they're the camera. It's super overgrown. There's weeds are there. The roof's falling apart. And you just can tell after a while that like what a vacant house looks like. So let's get out and maybe go walk around really quick and see what it looks like. And then we'll figure out how to get a hold of these people. So I don't always recommend like getting out and like going, you definitely can't trespass on these properties, but like I can get out and I just want to walk around a little bit and we're just going to look at the house and make sure that we actually think it's vacant. And so like, sometimes what I'll do is I'll like talk to neighbors and see what's going on. But as you can tell, like this house, nobody's living here. You can tell by everything that's going on. So we walked around the house, we didn't go trespassing, but definitely this house is vacant. So then what I would do is, because I'm trying to find a house like this right now. So I'll go to Zillow on my phone, pop it up, and I'll hit the location button right here. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 960 square feet. This house, if I scroll down, it has not sold. It sold in 2001 for $38,000. At this time, I'm like, okay, it's vacant. What's going on? Nobody's living here. Nobody's using this rental. So I'm gonna go pull some information. I wanna know who owns this property. And usually when I'm driving this, I'll send it to like my assistant and they can pull up, they'll do more research, but I wanna look while I'm out here. What I grabbed in Zillow was I grabbed the parcel number. That's the easiest way to search stuff. Normally you can use the address on the assessor page, but it's kind of temperamental sometime on this one. Here's the owner. She lives over in Richland, value of 124 on the property, 960 square feet, and transfer title in 2010 through a quit claim deed. So it looks like what happened is somebody passed away. So you can see it's a rep. So personal rep, it says there. So when there's a personal rep on the property, it says that in the title. And in a quit claim deed, normally what happened is somebody passed away and then somebody inherited the property. So it looks like a grantee, so who owns the property? So that this person got quit claim the property. It wasn't sold, it just got passed down to the heir. And so maybe they don't want to do anything with it. Maybe they don't know what to do with it. Maybe they're just sitting here. I have made so much money off properties that were inherited. These are like the best of the best. So when I used to do this, I would actually just take a picture of this, screenshot it, send it over to my wife and have her run a search on it, quick search, and then I would call the person. So we'll get into that. I'll get back to my office and we'll go do that. So if you're driving for dollars, you know, there's a lot of different things that you can do. So you have to understand and think about like how much direct mail are you gonna send? So if you're gonna send just a little bit of direct mail, you wanna be a little bit more picky on the properties that you're gonna go after. And if you're going to send a lot of direct mail, you can be a little bit less picky. So if I'm driving, I'm looking for things like this. You got overgrown weeds, broke down cars. The roof looks good on this one, so it wouldn't be like a huge fixer, but like it's not being taken care of. So as I'm going, we're driving for dollars. So I have my driving for dollars app up. So we're gonna drive and we're gonna look at properties. Usually it's nice to do this with 2 people. Like if you have your wife or husband, they wanna do this with, like it's easier, and then somebody's drawing off a map of where you're going. But this will follow you along and mark where you've been. And so, you know, if I see a house on one side of the road, you can literally just drop the pin on the property. I'm just dropping pins and of houses that I think I would want to mail to. So I'm building my marketing list. Driving for dollars is hands down the best way to find houses, because you know houses that you're marketing to are houses you actually want to buy to fix up. So like this house right here, like we talked about it a little bit earlier, it just looks like it needs some love. Like it's probably not the best one, but I'm gonna just still drop it because I want to build a bigger list because I do quite a bit of marketing. This one looks okay. You could make a case for this because it has chipping paint on the bottom. It has old aluminum windows. The roof looks like it's in good shape. It's got some older cars broke down. So you could definitely make a case for that one. And it looks like a bigger house, so you might get a little bit more money for it if you can get a good price of it. It kind of gets tedious, but it's still really a ton of fun to do this because you're killing 2 birds at this point. Not only are you finding properties that you could potentially buy and make really good money on, and building your marketing list. And that marketing list is still good unless they sold for a long time, because most people don't just magically fix up their house. But you're also learning your neighborhood. So you're learning where value lines are, where there's a good pocket of a bunch of fixers or rentals or things like that. So you're spending a lot of time actually learning your market. You know, this house looks okay. It looks like it's decent shape, decent car. So we wouldn't put that one down. A couple things here. The yard looks like it's in great shape, but it has a couple things going for it that I would definitely write this one down. It has a radio antenna tower, which is usually an older person lives there. And they have aluminum in the windows, tinfoil in the windows, which means that they're on a budget. And so they're trying to minimize their electricity bills. So I would definitely write this property down because maybe they just can't afford the house anymore for whatever reason. So I'll mark that one. Okay, this one, they got the broke down boat and missing wheel. The house is in decent shape. There's some things you could do, but they also got kids, you can tell. So normally I don't write these ones down. They just probably have a broke down boat. So they have the pumpkins there. After like holidays and stuff is a really good time to go find properties to, or when it snows, because you can see like if people are living there and things like that. This one again, it looks okay, but like got a car that hasn't been driven for 50 years. It looks like the floor back there, the windows are really bad, aluminum. The roof's in good shape, but definitely could use some love. The stair steps right there are breaking, paint's peeling, so definitely could use some stuff. And then here, you come up to this property, you're like, boom, this is what I'm looking for. We already talked about this a little bit earlier, but this is the house we're looking for. Vacant house, super overgrown, you know it's sitting there empty. You know, usually what happened is somebody either moved and they just left it vacant, or somebody died normally and people just don't know what to do with it. So this house is the eyesore to the neighborhood. We are doing a good service by buying this property and fixing it up. So this is the one that I would go after super, super hard. My team would be calling them 2 or 3 times a day, sending offers to them and trying to get this property. And that's kind of a little bit of a tutorial of how I would use the Driving for Dollars app. Now I'll go back to the office and we'll deep dive into the vacant property and see if we can find their contact information and shoot them a call. So we got our Driving for Dollars list that we built, and we have that one property that I want to go after. So I'm gonna save this Driving for Dollars here. Okay, so here's the addresses we have. I can directly just mail these or whatever out of here, or I can export these out of the list and see where I went, make sure I follow along the areas. So got that done, but we are looking at the property that we pulled up earlier on Zillow. And so here's the property. I'm gonna jump over here to my computer and I'm gonna go find out who the people are. And then it's kind of late on a Sunday, so we're not gonna call them tonight. We'll have a part 2 of us calling them and see if we can get a hold of them going forward. If you haven't signed up yet, I use easyskiptrace.com. It's actually a site that we partnered with People Finder, and so we push it out there, and it's the stuff we use, and we built in some really good pricing for people. If you haven't signed up, it's $20 a month, and then the skip traces are really cheap. So you sign up here, but since I already have an account, I will go into my account. All right, so over here I have I'll also pull up the assessor site for the address of the property we're looking for. This is the vacant one we found, and then we were walking around. And so this person that owns it doesn't live at the property because it's vacant. So we'll take this address, or take her name, we'll put in the address of where they actually live. That's gonna give you a lot better information. So 70 years old, she lives over in Richland. She lived, it said, up until 2020, the first of 2020, 20 in the property in question. We also come up with all the different relatives. It comes up with 35 possible relatives in case we can't get a hold of her. And we've done this often. Like just last week, we had somebody that we couldn't get a hold of on his number, so we called their sister, and the sister actually got us in touch with that person. So sometimes they just don't answer their phone or whatever. So I pulled that, do a little research. You can dive in and do more research on them, but for right now, I just want to get her phone number and give her a call and see if she wants to sell. And so the way I would call her is I would just say, hey Mary, Elliot Smith here. Hey, I was driving the neighborhood with my wife and we noticed you own a property at 123 Main Street, just seeing what's going on with this property. And that's kind of how I would lead in. I don't say I'm an investor. I don't say any of that stuff. I just say my wife and I were driving the neighborhood. That's kind of where we go. So follow along for part 2 and call her and try to get her on the phone and see if we can buy this property.